What is going on, guys? It is another early review as WWE makes its way through Europe. They stayed over in Italy, and on that note, we have breaking news here. Breaking non-wrestling news, but it is kind of eerie when you consider where they were for Raw tonight. A 6.1 magnitude earthquake has struck southern Italy. This is just happening over the past hour or so. This happened in the early hours of Tuesday over there, around 250 kilometers deep, which I guess is a good thing that it was that deep. This would not directly affect Turin. So Turin is where they were for Raw. That is in northern Italy, and this apparently happened in southern Italy. But still, the timing is just wild for this. So I don't know if this rises to the level of too much damage or a loss of life or anything like that, but hopefully everybody over there is safe. But those are the reports coming in from Italy. There was no earthquake tonight where they were for Raw, although there were parts of the show, I will say, where the hard camera was shaking, especially when Rey Mysterio was out there. It kind of felt like there was an earthquake if you were watching it, the way the camera was shaking. At least I don't think it was an earthquake. Who knows? Who knows? But this was the fallout to Clash in Italy last night. We were here talking about that show 24 hours ago. And so this was the follow-up to that. The big follow-up was Jacob Fatu and Roman Reigns. They had a match for the World Heavyweight Championship. Roman beat him, and so by virtue of that loss, Jacob Fatu would have to man up, be a man of his word, and he would have to acknowledge Roman Reigns as his tribal chief. Seems like most of these shows are built around something of an acknowledgement ceremony or some, it just is a sameness to it all. So Roman wanted to be acknowledged, and he got acknowledged. And for the time being, it appears that Jacob Fatu has fallen in line. And we now have Bloodline 2.0. We now have the official sequel. Now, see, there's been other like offshoots of the Bloodline. We have Timu Bloodline over on SmackDown, but if you really just kind of consider the Bloodline as like that one faction, the one that had Sami Zayn in there and the Usos and Solo Sikoa. Now we have the official 2.0 version. And I can only hope, we should all be so lucky, that the sequel is better than the original. See, it doesn't happen that way very often. Some people would say that that's the case for The Godfather. I would argue that that's the case for some films. Actually, I happen to be a big fan of Back to the Future Part 2. Whether or not you think Part 2 is better than Part 1, it's a subjective thing. Part 2 is the one that had the hoverboard, right? I got to go Part 2. But it's not something that happens very often. And look, we knew that this was going to be the case. They love the Bloodline. They love it. They love it. It's their bread and butter. I'm sure TKO loves it. I mean, there's been talk about, Ari Emanuel and TKO and all of them. I mean, they're fully behind this. Right? They're fully behind Roman Reigns as the World Heavyweight Champion. They're behind the Bloodline. They want more of it. So we're going to get more of it. And my only hope is that Jacob Fatu was done no favors by dropping 2 straight to Roman Reigns on 2 different PLEs in the same month. And not only did he lose 2 straight and couldn't back up all that talk, right, on TV, but now he's bending the knee and he's throwing up the ones and he's standing there in the background and he looks like a sad little puppy dog in the background, following these guys around. And you can kind of look at it and go, okay, the longer term vision here is that in the end, Jacob Fatu will break free and maybe he'll take a leadership position and maybe that's 6 months or a year down the road. We don't know. But for the time being, he's actually in a weaker position than he was coming into it. And if you're a fan of his, then you just hope that, they're playing the long game. Fine. Hopefully at the end of all this, he'll come out better for it on the other side. But right now, it just feels like more of the same. We also had Seth Rollins and Braun Breaker in the main event. This was a rematch from their first match of Backlash, which Braun Breaker won. Seth Rollins got his win back tonight. This surprised me just because they are both in the King of the Ring tournament. And I had them tabbed to be the likely final of the King of the Ring. And I still do, by the way. Tonight's match changes nothing. Because now they're 1 win apiece. Braun Breaker beat him the first time. Seth Rollins picked up the win here in this match, which I would argue was probably even better than their last match. They went over 20 minutes. They had a hell of a main event. This is the best thing on the entire show. They had a hell of a match. And when it was over, Seth Rollins came out the winner. So them meeting in the finals of the King of the Ring still kind of works because they're one win apiece. And so that could basically end up being the de facto rubber match between them. But that was one of the highlights of the show, was their match. Paul Heyman looks like he's going to be going away for a while because Paul Heyman took a bump, which doesn't happen very often. But he took a bump. He got speared through the timekeeper's barricade, as so many before him have. This time it was Paul Heyman who went through, and I would not expect to see him back on TV next week. Okay, let's put it that way. I think we could keep Paul Heyman off TV for at least a few weeks to sell the effects of the spear. And then we have the King and Queen of the Ring tournaments, and it would appear that one hand does not know what the other hand is doing when it comes to this company. And the reason I say this, I mean, there's a lot of reasons that you could point to, but the reason I say this is because earlier today, WWE posted an updated King of the Ring bracket on their website. I at first I thought maybe it was something that was just going around on social media that somebody fabricated and somebody fell for it. But then I saw the update from Mike Johnson, a PW Insider, who had gotten the information, I guess, directly off of WWE.com. So he himself ended up having to post a retraction later on. But on WWE.com, they posted an updated bracket that took out Ricky Saints and Tala Tonga. And in their place, and you could argue that this actually improved the tournament, they were replaced by Sami Zayn and Drew McIntyre in separate matches on that side of the bracket. So we had Royce Keys in that bracket, was also moved to a completely different match. He was moved into the Seth Rollins 4-way with Javon Evans and Sami Zayn. And then Drew McIntyre was in the 4-way with Finn Balor, LA Knight, and Jey Uso. And I saw this and I'm like, well, they already announced this other bracket and it's not even 24 hours later. And now all of a sudden they're making changes. Like, these people don't know what the fuck they're doing. So again, it wasn't a fake graphic. It was something that they posted on their website and then they pulled it and they put the old one back up. And the old one is what you saw on the air tonight when they showed the graphic on Monday Night Raw. So there was all this confusion around, well, which one is real and which one is not? And was it fake or did they change their minds? And what the hell's going on here? Drew McIntyre hasn't even been on television since WrestleMania. Did they just spoil Drew McIntyre's return? Is somebody going to get bumped from their spot in the King of the Ring and he's going to be the big surprise to replace them? We don't know. But this comes after Joe Tessitore on the Clash in Italy post-show last night announced Oba Femi against Penta as a singles match in the King of the Ring tournament. He thought it was a singles match. And to be fair, so did I. Because at first glance, when they put the bracket up, I thought I was looking at a series of singles matches. And I was like, wow, look at this. They expanded the bracket this time. We're not going with multi-man matches. We're actually going to get a bunch of singles matches. And my first thought was, why would you do Oba Femi against Penta? That was my second thought. So anyway, he made the same mistake that I made. The only difference is I'm not the one on TV on their own show. So apparently he announced it as a singles match and had to walk it back. And then he realized it was a 4-way match and not a singles match. So the whole thing is a fucking mess. So anyway, with all of that out of the way, let me bring up the Queen of the Ring bracket and just show you where things are in terms of who goes where in this thing. What we saw tonight on this show, we had one women's one women's first round match, which was the one that you see there in the upper right hand corner. It was Roxanne Perez, Io Sky, Julia here in Italy, and Lash Legend. Io Sky is moving on to the next round of the tournament, which makes me very happy because she would have been my pick to win that anyway. And so we had that on the women's side. Now, nothing has changed in terms of this bracket. I don't think WWE posted an updated women's bracket, so this one is still accurate. The Liv Morgan match you see in the upper left-hand corner, and yes, it is very bizarre that Liv Morgan is in this tournament, although it seems likely to me that she's going to end up probably being bounced with some interference, I would think, from a returning Stephanie Vicaire. Even if that's what ends up happening here, and I'm sure it will. it still feels like a wasted spot. That match, though, is going to be taking place on Raw in Paris, which is next week. I believe also an early 2 p.m. Eastern start time. Now, the King of the Ring bracket. And again, this is the accurate, still current King of the Ring bracket, with the exception of the first winner, which we now know. And I will direct your attention to the upper left-hand corner. You see the match there with Penta, Femi, Solo Sikoa, and Carmelo Hayes. We got that match on Raw tonight, which actually was a hell of a lot of fun. And Femi, the ruler, is moving on to the semifinals of this tournament, which is very interesting because now he is no longer protected. If you're concerned about him losing, or he's got all singles matches from this point forward if he's going to go to the finals and win this thing. Because if they wanted to have some fuckery and bounce him out without him taking a direct loss, they had their chance to do so on this show tonight, and they didn't, and I'm glad they didn't. Because Femi needed to come out and look dominant tonight, coming off the first loss that he has taken on the main roster. I think it was very important for him to go out there and show why he is all hyped up to be the next big thing. And he did. And what we ended up getting, again, I thought was a very good match. Second best thing on the entire show. And we'll talk more about what this means and Oba and Brock and all that here in a little bit. So that's where things stand as far as the two tournaments go. We know the winners, the finals, will be taking place in Night of Champions in Riyadh later this month. Now, I also just real quick want to bring the King of the Ring back up. If you notice, lower right-hand corner, you see Finn Balor. His box is blue. And so people were talking about, well, look at this. They made a mistake here because Balor's on Raw and he's got a blue box. He's not on SmackDown. Well, guess what? Yes, he is. He is now. Because Finn Balor has officially been traded to the SmackDown brand. That comes from Byron Saxton during one of the commercial breaks tonight during Raw. So trading the Judgment Day Vortex for the MFT's Vortex. This poor guy. Look, I'm very happy that he's finally moving away from the Judgment Day, but if you don't think he isn't going to be sucked into that MFT's Vortex, then you got another thing coming. But hey, he's going to be sharing the same brand again with Damian Priest. So maybe at some point they kind of link back up together. It's always possible. Very interesting that they would use the language traded. They didn't say that he moved. They didn't say that he was added to the SmackDown roster. That is, he was a free agent and he decided to sign with SmackDown. He was traded to SmackDown. And I always talk about like the lack of trade talk between the two general managers. You have two GMs. You have one for Raw, one for SmackDown. And we don't have enough of that over the course of the year. I'm not saying you need to do it every month, but we should have more of this. We should show more of the dialogue between the two GMs. Maybe sometimes things get a little heated. They work out certain trade deals. Every now and then, like you'll hear about some blockbuster breaking news, big sports trade on ESPN, where like 10 fucking NBA players get traded or something. Like, they don't do that. They don't do that. And I don't know why they don't do that more often. But again, they said that he was traded from Raw to SmackDown, which would imply that Raw would get something in return. I don't know. Maybe Jacob Fatu suddenly being on Raw, maybe that's the one for one. Maybe that's the trade. And there's nobody else to be traded. We still don't know, by the way, where CM Punk is going to end up once we see him back on TV, whenever that may be. Obviously, he's not in the King of the Ring tournament. But as far as Raw tonight, not a great show. It was a good show. And it was a good show because of the two matches that I mentioned. The main event was very good. The men's King of the Ring match I thought was good. That was fun. And then you had the hot Italian crowd. That's the second best thing you could ask for. Is a hot Italian, after a hot Italian woman, it's a hot Italian crowd. That played a very big part in the energy level on the show tonight. And so it ended up being a good Raw, and that had a lot to do with it. We'll get into what happened, because honestly, a lot of the other stuff that we had on the show, there really wasn't a whole lot else that happened here on this episode. But this is your Raw review here from Turin, Italy. It is Monday. It is a brand new month. We have flipped the page on the calendar. It is June 1st, 2026. I am the Solomonster. Yes, that is one lopsided trade. What would that look like? Some big breaking news, big blockbuster trade between Adam Pearce and Nick Aldis. Fucking 5 people have moved over to SmackDown and 6 people have moved over to Raw. Man, they don't have enough fun with it. If you're going to have a brand split, at least try to have fun with it. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and you could also hit the super chat button if you want to drop one. I will be reading all of your messages, and you'll see them popping up on your screen as we progress through the review. So I appreciate all the help here. Reggie, welcome to the channel. Welcome to all of our new subs from over the past week. We're going to spin the wheel. Actually, before I do, just a thank you to everybody who joined me yesterday for the Clash in Italy review. And again, the full review is up if you missed it, which had an epic. An epic does not necessarily mean good, but an all-timer as far as our Be the Booker segment. Holy shit. I don't know what the hell happened last night, but it was one for the ages, that's for sure. So if you weren't entertained by Clash in Italy, I guarantee you'll at least be entertained by the end of the stream. So you can go back and check that out on the channel when we are done here. Spin the wheel and find out how many likes we need if we're going to do another one of those Be the Booker. Maybe we shouldn't. Maybe we should give Be the Booker a rest for like a week after what happened last night. I don't know. Well, based on this, I think we may be giving it a rest anyway tonight. 700 is very ambitious, especially because we're not streaming in our usual time. So there are some people who are not joining us. That's going to be tough. It's doable, but it's going to be very difficult. 700 likes. That is the goal. Let's see what we can do. So we'll start from the top. After a recap for Clash in Italy, they pitched it outside the building where Roman Reigns and the Usos arrived, and they made their way into the arena as all of the Italian fans started singing for Roman Reigns down to the ring, just as they did last night for his match. So Roman said there's no day quite like Acknowledgement Day. At least he didn't say the Judgment Day. Now that these two groups are on the same brand, we could get some sort of feud between the Bloodline and the Judgment Day. The only problem is the Judgment Day has Dom and McDonough. And that's it. That's it. The rest are ladies. The Bloodline has no ladies. So that would be kind of difficult to do. I don't know that anybody really wants to see Dominic Mysterio and JD McDonough feuding with Roman Reigns and the rest of the Bloodline, but I suppose we could get it at some point. Jey Uso pointed out that Jacob Fatu is already late. His first night. And he's late for the ceremony. So that brought Jacob out to the ring, and he walks out there and he just looks so defeated. And he gets in the ring and he's sizing up Jey Uso, gets up in his face before he addressed Roman. And he said he knew what he was getting into last night with tribal combat. What would happen if he won? What would happen if he lost? He acknowledged that last night he lost. And he said that he was a man of his word. Last night, I lost to my tribal chief. Yeah, Asuka's not happy about Jacob Fatu losing that match. I agree. I'm with her. Encroaching reality. I would like to see Roman against Dom. LOL. Actually, the way things are shaping up in that King of the Ring tournament, if I bring the bracket back up here real quick. Femi is already advanced. Look who's in the bracket right below him. In theory, we could end up with Femi against Dominic Mysterio in the semifinals. Wouldn't that be something? Wouldn't that be something if someone actually cost Femi the match and Dom beat him? Yeah, that would be an all-time dumb booking decision is what that would be. Anyway, thank you, brother. That's Misfit Wrestling Podcast. Thank you for the $15. But Jacob said he's a man of his word. He said last night, I lost to my tribal chief. But he didn't lose to Jay's punk ass. So Fatu turned back to Roman. He officially acknowledged him. He took a knee. Roman then took Fatu's hand. He pulled him up. He said that you might not understand this right now, but I love you. And Jimmy says that Fatu is with them now, and they're the ones. And so the four of them threw up the ones into the air, and I had flashbacks to 3 years ago on SmackDown. I feel like I'm kind of going backwards instead of going forwards. So we officially have Bloodline 2.0. There it is. This is like the new age. We were joking about this. What was it, like a week ago, 2 weeks ago? Back in the day, if you would just add 2000 onto something, it was supposed to make it sound so much cooler. NWO 2000. Now we have Bloodline 2000. Amazing. The only difference is that Jacob Fatu now is in there in place of Solo Sikoa. Which, to be fair, I mean, that could end up being kind of like a Horseman deal, where the Horsemen used to have Oli, but then they upgraded when they added Barry Windham. I would say this is a bit of an upgrade over, the previous version. Unless you count Sami Zayn. You throw Sami in there, that's still the peak version of the Bloodline. But the problem is, again, in my opinion, that they even felt the need to run this back in the first place. I'm trying to be optimistic as I look at this, and I'm hopeful that the end result of this will be Jacob and the Usos eventually turning on Roman Reigns. Yeah, I point out very often that Roman hasn't changed at all. Roman has basically just, like, if you watch him and listen to him, and he's smirking and talking all kinds of shit, he's basically, I say reverted, but I don't think he ever really changed. It's the Roman Reigns of a few years ago when he was having that long, dominant title run. It's the same fucking guy. And so at some point, you would hope that somebody puts him in his place. I know the fans right now are cheering him. Now, again, they're in Italy. And so, he's got roots in Italy. He was always going to get wildly cheered in Italy. Realistically, he was going to get wildly cheered probably anywhere. Does that start to wear off? Like, if he is basically mistreating Jacob Fatu, and they sell it like you want to have sympathy for Fatu because he feels like this is family honor and he's got to just fall in line, and people start feeling sorry for him, does the crowd reaction begin to turn against Roman? I don't know. I feel like Roman is he's kind of in that category now where you would have to really work very hard, I think, to get these crowds to boo him or to root against him. It's possible. You can do it, but it's not going to be easy. He's kind of crossed over into that realm where just people don't want to boo him. They think he's cool. He's got a certain aura to him, and that's just the way it is. But yet he's still a total dick when he's out there. So you would hope at some point Jacob kind of wakes up and snaps out of it and says, yeah, I'm not taking this shit no more. And then on the other side of this, he'll come out a bigger name for it. Maybe he will take a leadership position in the Bloodline. Because again, the Bloodline's going to keep looping forever. The Bloodline will still continue to loop and loop and loop long after Roman is no longer the tribal chief. Like, they've hitched their wagon to the Bloodline. It's not going anywhere. That's my hope. When we get to that point, hopefully that's how it ends up for Jacob, and he'll end up at a level above where he is right now, which should be the goal. To kind of elevate him in the eyes of the fans to that next level. They didn't do that last month. They put him in there twice against the world champion. He talked all kinds of shit. He came up with a brand new finishing move that he still has yet to win a single match with, and he fucking lost both times. It doesn't get any worse than that. It's almost like we have to beat him down with the idea that we're just, at that point, once we've beaten him down to where he can't get any lower, now we're going to try to build him back up. And for his sake, I hope they can. In the meantime, though, we have to watch the Bloodline story play out yet again, all over again. And so it could be a while before we get there. I enjoyed the character development with the original Bloodline. All the members the first time around. Maybe they could try to, recapture some of that here the second time around, but I don't know. Like, I just point to the Usos and just how lazy this all is. Because we see Jimmy and Jay right now, and all they've done with those two is they've completely just reverted back to the way they used to be. They were very subservient to Roman. It's all about family honor and family pride, and he's the tribal chief, and you have to acknowledge, and blah, blah, blah. But then eventually, they kind of found their balls, and they grew a set, so to speak, and they found their independence. But now they've just gone back to the exact same positions that they were in previously. And there really was no explanation for it. I guess other than this idea that, well, we're stronger when we're united. I can remember a time where Jey Uso confronted Roman Reigns backstage. Was it last year? Maybe the year before. I don't know. I think it was last year. And this is when Roman was not apologizing necessarily for how he treated Jey, but he was kind of trying to get the band back together. And do you remember when Jey Uso said to him, like, from now on, we're equals. If this is going to work, you and me, we're like this on the same level. We're equals. Whatever happened to that? I don't know. It seems to have just been forgotten about. I guess Jey is comfortable no longer being equals because he sure doesn't come off as an equal to Roman Reigns. It's just stuff like that that annoys me. You know, people will talk about, oh, it's cinema, it's this, it's that. Yeah, well, it's terrible cinema. You know, if you're going to do that, you got to pay attention to the little details. They haven't really taken taken great pains to explain some of this and why the Usos are just, you know, they've just completely regressed back to the way they used to be. Is that the kind of cinema and storytelling that we could expect over these next 6 to 12 months? I sure hope not. And there's definitely nothing interesting to me about potentially feuding these guys with the MFTs. Now, they only kind of hinted at it. I really hope that doesn't happen at some point. I already have people saying, well, there's your War Games match. I sure as fuck hope not. We already had that 2 years ago. We don't need that again. Right now, the MFTs, I don't even think they have enough members anyway. Although Solo Sikoa hasn't given up yet on trying to recruit Royce Keys. And they've taken steps to establish that Royce Keys and Jacob Fatu are tight. It's entirely possible Royce Keys could end up on that other side with the MFT. I really hope not, though. But we got our first Fatal 4-Way. Opening round match in the King of the Ring tournament with Oba Femi, the Intercontinental Champion Penta, Solo Sikoa, and Carmelo Hayes. Melo is the one they chose to get the jobber entrance here in this match, which was not televised. Oba got the big entrance. He strutted to the ring, and the fans were strutting alongside of him. As Oba entered the ring, his 3 opponents all went after him, and he took each of them out one by one, and then he finished his entrance, and he struck the pose. I thought that was kind of funny. Like, I'm going to finish my entrance. So Oba was in control early. He engaged in a stare down with Tala Tonga, who was at ringside. At another point outside the ring, Solo started mocking Oba by doing his strut. See, this to me, this is where Solo Sikoa shines. Solo Sikoa is like, he's a naturally funny guy. And it's why I always say, like, he's completely miscast here. He is not the leader of a faction. Unless that faction is... like my idea from like last year, if you remember, was I can get the MFTs over. And the way that I would get the MFTs over is because you had Tongaloa who had botched a couple of times, and there were a few things that had happened. And so my whole thing was, I think you can get these guys over as baby faces, as like the gang that can't shoot straight, where they almost have like an endearing quality about them. And then you also have to take the time to really start fleshing out some of the individual characters and let, Tama Tonga talk and JC Mateo talk. But I think that there's a way to get these guys over, including Solo, in a way that will be entertaining. And then if you want people to take them more seriously at some point, as baby faces, you can do that. I'm not saying turn them just into the B team, but I felt like there was a way to make the MFTs entertaining. And instead, what they've chosen to do here is we're supposed to look at them and take them seriously as these very intimidating, heels, like one of the top heel factions on the brand. Solo comes out in his suit. He looks like the Godfather. That's not him. That's not him. It's like he's trying to cosplay as Roman Reigns. He will never be that. But Solo is a naturally funny, entertaining guy. There's a role for him on the show, just not the one that he's in. But since they insist on continuing, using him in this way, it's torture, watching these shows sometimes. That's what makes SmackDown so rough to sit through is, we have to deal with stuff like that on a weekly basis. But here he's like doing the Oba strut, trying to mock him, and I'm sitting here like laughing my ass off. I'm like, okay, this guy's about to get his ass kicked. And Oba got pissed off, and he clotheslined him over the barricade. He fought with him into the crowd. If you remember Clash in Italy last night, they had that giant staircase. He's got Solo on the steps over there. He's just beating his ass. So later on, Solo and Tala Tonga, they threw Oba into the ring post, and the big guy sent Oba over the barricade with a big boot. Meanwhile, Penta, he hit a tope out onto Solo, but then Melo caught him with an over-the-top dive out of the ring, almost overshot him on the dive. Back inside, Penta driver dropped Melo. Solo, though, broke up the pin attempt. Outside, Oba, he slowly rose like a sea monster from behind the barricade. And all pissed off, he mowed down Tala with a big boot. He suplexed him onto and over the announce desk. He sent Solo halfway across the ring, just kind of threw him. And then he finished him off with a fall from grace to advance to the semifinal round of the tournament. The fans were going nuts for Oba on his comeback. He looked like a monster in there, which he really needed that coming out, off that first loss last night. It's like, okay, well, it's the first time we've seen him lose a match. How's he going to react to that? Is he going to come out and strut? He did, but then he also killed a bunch of dudes, which is exactly the way that Oba Femi should be used. Then he went outside. He snatched the microphone, and he took it back into the ring with him, and he looked into the hard cam, and he addressed his loss to Brock Lesnar. He said Brock Lesnar questioned whether he could take an ass whooping, and what would happen after that. How would he react? He said after taking 7 F5s, he took Lesnar's best shot, and he's still standing. He vowed to win the King of the Ring, and he reminded Brock that they were 1 win apiece. Unlike what Brock said, where he goes 1 + 1. He said they're 1-1, and he told them, I'll see you down the line. So this was a fun match, and again, reestablish Oba as a dominant force, despite the loss. And now he meets the winner of the 4-way. Between Dominic Mysterio, Braun Breaker, Trick Williams, and Damian Priest, which feels like it should be Braun Breaker. And I think most people would figure Braun Breaker to win that match, especially coming off a loss tonight. Talk about somebody who could use a win. One half of the tag team champions who just lost in the Raw main event. Yeah, I would say that would be a nice comeback for Braun Breaker. Still feels to me like Brock Lesnar is going to wind up screwing Oba out of the crown. Probably in that round and not the finals. And that way, that would send Breaker onward to the fight. Especially given the Paul Heyman connection. It would kind of make more sense for it to be in that match if Brock was going to get involved. But it really doesn't make any sense for Brock to be involved in any capacity in this. And I kind of touched on this last night when I was talking about, Brock going over in that match. It's like, if Brock Lesnar would have lost at Clash in Italy, it actually would have made more sense that he would kind of go off the deep end and he would show up and cost Oba Femi his match in the King of the Ring tournament. But he beat him. I know Oba was talking about him here in this promo. All he really said to Brock was, I took your best shot. I'm still here. And we're all knotted up and you and I are going to do this again at some point. It's not like he said, hey, Brock, go fuck yourself or, fuck your kids or something like that. He didn't say anything terribly offensive. So, is Brock's just going to show up just for shits and giggles, just to screw the guy out of the crown? Probably, but it would have made a hell of a lot more sense for him to do that if he lost again. That was one of my points that I made last night. I just think, logically, if that's what they end up doing, then Brock should have lost. Because then it would have made more sense, right? Because now he's gone, right? It's like, he is just, that loss sent him over the edge. And now I'm going to take something very important away from you. Now you've given Oba Femi a reason to want to get back in the ring with this guy, even though he's gone 2-0 over him. I guess we'll find out. It still feels to me like that's probably what's going to happen, though. Because here's the thing. If Brock does not get involved, if Brock does not cost Oba Femi in the next round or the finals of this tournament, Oba Femi has to win this King of the Ring crown. Femi cannot go into the King of the Ring and then lose clean to Braun Breaker or lose clean in the finals. I mean, he could, but I think that would be very dumb. So he's either winning, which is fine, except, again, that would make him losing at Clash in Italy that much dumber, or he's getting screwed out of the crown. Either way, I would have gone a different way with things at Clash in Italy is what I'm saying here. Kathy Kelly, after this, was in the ring, and she was going to welcome out her guest, the new Women's Intercontinental Champion, Sol Ruca, who had her wakeboard. She wakeboarded down to the ring. Now, she did. That would have been cool, though. Maybe somebody will do that when they have that Beach Blast episode of Dynamite in July. So she asked Sol if she thought that she would be standing here as a champion only a month after joining Monday Night Raw. And she believed that she could be a champion, but most importantly, all of us, all the fans, believed that she could do it. And she gave Becky Lynch some credit. She said that she gave her a chance to test herself against the very best, and she proved Becky wrong. And it wasn't just her saying it.
He's sticking his tongue. What's that? Like, what the fuck? He's sticking his tongue. What's that? Like, what the fuck?
And it wasn't just her saying it. Everybody is saying it. So she said that the fans deserved a fighting champion. And I thought that we were about to hear the words open challenge. And I was like, oh my God. I thought for sure she was about to say, I'm going to have the Intercontinental title open challenge.
He's sticking his tongue.
I was convinced of it.
Like, what the fuck?
I was convinced of it.
He's sticking his tongue. What's that? Like, what the
Hey,
fuck?
Barry, what's going on, man? Shout out to Barry. And Death Scythe as well. Thank you, brothers. Thankfully, there was no open challenge issued. But she did say that she would be a fighting champion. She said that the souls of those who underestimate her will be her. I mean, what is she, the Undertaker? Digging holes and taking souls. It is very Undertaker-ish. The Soul Snatcher is a cool move. I mean, her talking about it in a promo, though, it just comes off very, I don't know, kind of lame. I will take your soul. Oh, my goodness. Then they shot some pyro off for her. Am I the only one, as I was listening to her promo? And some of the stuff that she was saying, the way she was saying it, if you closed your eyes, I would swear to you that Liv Morgan was in the ring. Why did she sound like Liv Morgan in this promo? It's the first time I've noticed it in one of her promos. I swear, go back and listen. At least parts of this promo, if you close your eyes, you would swear that it was Liv Morgan in the ring. As far as the rest of the promo, it's very basic. You know, it was a chance for her to come out and say thank you, which is great. It just doesn't make for very interesting television. So they aired footage from after the show last night, and I talked about this during my review, of Cody Rhodes running into Roman Reigns backstage, and they shared a brief stare down. Backstage, Roman Reigns told the Usos that he would get to Cody later. He encouraged Jay, stay on Jacob, right? Adding that Jay is the only one who understands tough love. Tough love. And Jay was like, okay. Again, I'm just floored by this whole, like, we have to be equals. Like, when did this go out the window? So Reigns said that, Jay, you've held this title before, but you haven't held the other one, right? The WWE Championship. So he encouraged Jay to win the King of the Ring and go on to win Cody's title. And that got Jay all hyped up, and he headed out. Jimmy was going to follow his brother, but Roman stopped him and called him back and said that, I need you. And besides, Jay needs to do this on his own. Like, the way he was talking about it, I thought maybe they were doing, Jay Uso's match tonight, but they did. I don't know where Jay was going. I thought he was going off to prepare for his fucking King of the Ring match. I don't know. Maybe he was just all excited and he wanted to go tell people. I don't know where he went. I don't think we saw him again after this. We had Rey Mysterio and Dragon Lee against Ethan Page and Rusev. Crowd was super into Rey Mysterio here. to the point where the hard camera was shaking, especially when he was trying to make the hot tag. Dragon Lee tagged in Ray. Referee didn't see it at first. Lee eventually fought free, and he made the hot tag, and everybody went crazy. A little while longer, Paige had gotten Ray in a Boston Crab. Super kick by Dragon Lee broke that up. And in the end, Ray connected with a 619 and a splash to Ethan Page to pick up the win. It was a fun match. Pretty basic stuff. I think they really just wanted a reason to get Rey Mysterio out there, and he's very over in Italy. He's very popular. Tonight was one of those nights where you look at Ray, and it's just it's pretty incredible when you think about how early in his life he started wrestling. I mean, what was he like? He was 13. He might have been younger. I think he was maybe 13, and I think he made his debut, I want to say, in 1989. Working the style that he does and flying around the way that he does. And to still see him out there doing it, you know, when he's doing some of these moves in these matches as smooth and fluid as he does is pretty incredible. You know, I know he's been banged up a little bit more recently, but by and large, when you compare it to like even, I don't know, 15 years ago, I feel like we were hearing stories all the time about like knee injuries. And I just remember talking about, about it back then. And we're talking on the sound off in like 2010, 2012, where it's like, man, this guy's going to have to retire soon. The sand in the hourglass is ticking down for this guy. He's got glass knees. And now it's 2026. Literally, we're talking 15 years later, and he's fucking flying around the ring doing all the stuff that he was doing back then, but doing it better. And still staying healthier than he was even then. So God bless him. I mean, look, the guy's turned back the hands of time. And not only that, he is now the general manager of AAA, and he will be getting a shot very soon at the Intercontinental title, because in the very next segment backstage, Adam Pearce was talking to Penta. They had spoken about this previously. If you remember, Ray and Penta had a segment about a week or two ago where they kind of agreed, like, we need to fight for the title. I'll go talk to Adam Pearce. So Adam Pearce was talking to Penta, and he said that he will indeed be getting his match, defending his championship against Rey Mysterio. He just didn't say when, so we don't have a date. Penta walked off, and LA Knight walked in. And LA Knight was very upset about all of the bloodline love earlier in the show. He was very upset about Adam Pearce and his mind cozying up to Roman and his family. I find it funny, just the idea, like, poor LA Knight has feuded repeatedly with all of these groups, like all these bloodline related factions, right? He had his issues with the MFTs when he was on SmackDown, right? To the point where I was like, get this fucking guy off SmackDown and get him away from the MFTs, right? So now he's on Monday Night Raw, and the fucking bloodline has reformed. This guy can't catch a break. Everywhere he turns, it is bloodline. It doesn't matter what brand. At this point, the only solution, there's two potential solutions here. Number one, send LA Knight back to NXT, which I'm honestly thinking wouldn't be the worst idea at this point. Or, and this would be kind of funny, send LA Knight to AAA. And at least then he could get away from the bloodline. He can get away from all the Samoans. And he won't have to worry about it anymore. You can't tell me that he would be any worse off than he is right now on this show. They aired a highlights package, speaking of AAA, for the mask versus mask match at the AAA show on Saturday night. And they plugged the fact that after Raw, and they plugged this multiple times here during Raw, that immediately following Raw, they were going to be replaying, not the entire show, but just the mask versus mask match on Netflix. So that's another way now that you can watch the match. Obviously, the entire show is archived on WWE's YouTube channel. So that was kind of a big thing that they kept pushing throughout, and good, rightfully so. Then they showed Chad Gable's comments after the mask match in the ring when he unmasked. I'm not sure why they would show that. If they were encouraging people to watch the match, why you would give that away, I don't know. Why you would show that particular part, but they did. But look, it was fantastic stuff, and I'm going to have my full thoughts. I can't wait for tomorrow, because I'm going to talk about it right at the top of the show on the Uncrowned Wrestling Show tomorrow. I will give my full thoughts on that main event and just everything about it, which I thought was fantastic. Then it was a Queen of the Ring.
He's sticking his tongue.
Oh, Death Scythe is back.
Like, what the fuck? He's sticking his tongue. Like, what the fuck?
Hey, Death Scythe. I see you, brother. Thank you for the love. Queen of the Ring opening round fatal four-way. Io Sky, Roxanne Perez, Julia, and Lash Legend. So Julia got her Italy match after all. I thought maybe she would get it on SmackDown. She got it tonight instead. Maybe she'll get one on SmackDown too. Probably not. She even got a televised entrance. That might have been the bigger shock here, is that she actually got not the jobber entrance like Carmelo Hayes got. And she got a decent reaction. You know, she got a solid reaction from the fans in Italy. I do wonder how many of them know of her history there. They mentioned it on commentary. I've mentioned it before. You know, her parents even ran an Italian restaurant that she used to work at there. I don't know how many people in the building would have known that. I know some of them, you know, many of them probably did, but not all of them. Because when they announced her from Tokyo, Japan. There's no mention of her having any ties to Italy, but she got a decent pop. So during the match, there was one point where Roxanne and Julia, they briefly formed an alliance. That didn't last very long, though. Perez and Julia, they ended up in the corner as Io came charging in with the bullet train knees. Julia came back with an arrivederci knee to Lash, and Roxanne broke up the pin attempt that followed. Anobi says the issue with that rebroadcast with Gable and Kaiser. Kaiser? Who's that? What does he have to do with this? He says the issue with the rebroadcast is that they had the time to edit the blood and added Ray, Corey, and Bradshaw's dub, but didn't fix the audio delay on that. Wait, did they? Wait a minute. Edit the blood. Oh, so what? Did they black and white the screen? That's stupid. It's fucking Netflix. Are you fucking kidding me? Tell me they didn't black and white the screen. That's so fucking lame. I hope they didn't do that. Why rebroadcast the match at all then if you're just going to fucking butcher it? They showed everything. Okay, so I don't know. Hog Dog is saying they showed everything. They black and white Gable's blood. Yeah, well, that's fucking lame. Whatever. Just watch the stream on YouTube. Forget Netflix. Just watch the entire show, but watch the main event on the YouTube channel. It'll be much better that way. Anyway, here in this match, Julia came back with an arrivederci knee. As I mentioned, the pin attempt got broken up. Perez then got Julia and Io with a double DDT. And her Pop Rocks attempt got stopped by Io, who headed up top for her over the moonsault. Julia, though, cut her off. And she got a double underhook. And before she could do whatever she was about to do, Roxanne recovered. She joined in. Lash came over, took down Julia and Roxanne with a double power bomb. And then she hit her lash extension to Roxanne. She hit a lash extension to Julia. She had the pin. Io, though, was still on top. So Io sees this. She comes diving off with the double stomp to break up the pin. And then she went back up to the top. And who is her victim laying on the mat about to take the over the moonsault? It is Julia. And so Julia takes the moonsault and she gets pinned. And so Io Sky is moving on to the next round. Now, of course, it could not be all smiles for Julia. That's asking too much. Come on now. She got her match. She got her entrance. She should be happy with that. But of course, she was going to lose this match. And look, she had to take the pin here. I mean, she didn't have to take the pin here, but you really shouldn't be surprised that she took the pin here. First of all, Io Sky winning is the right call. I'm very happy. It really was either going to be Io or Roxanne. Okay, I would have been happy with either one of them. And Roxanne, you have kind of a storyline reason why it would have made sense for her to win. But I like the fact that Io went over. Realistically, if you're WWE, okay, and you're looking at this, Io's winning. So that leaves you with three people. Julia, Roxanne, and Lash. They were not pinning Lash Legend. Okay, that was never going to happen. So take her out of the equation. That leaves Roxanne and Julia. Who's the one that at least has some sort of storyline going or is part of a faction? Roxanne. Julia has nothing. Of course Julia is going to lose. Of course Julia is going to lose. Come on. Just by WWE logic, she was always going to take the losing fall if she wasn't winning the match. So I don't know why people are so upset about this. But like I said, it was either going to be Io or Roxanne. I mean, look, they could have crowned Roxanne if they wanted to, and they could have built to. Because at the beginning of the year, I had Roxanne as my pick to win Money in the Bank, and then they went and announced that Money in the Bank was September 6th, which is the latest that it's ever been. And so I looked at it and said, well, I don't know if they're going to wait that long to pull the trigger on whatever the big, turn is going to be within the Judgment Day, but still possible. She could win the briefcase, but what you could do? You could have her win Queen of the Ring, right? And then she opts to go after Liv Morgan's World Heavyweight Championship. Now that's two heels, but in the process of doing that, you could begin to build a split within the Judgment Day. Maybe at the end of all of it, Roxanne goes babyface. I mean, there were ways to try to make something like that work. I'm not saying that's what I would have done, but you could have done that. And Roxanne, I think Roxanne would end up with a lot of fan support out of it. So you're not going to get me to hate on Io winning here, though. She's going to get either Bayley, Raquel Rodriguez, JC Jane, or Kiana James in the next round. Io and Raquel, they have history from earlier this year before WrestleMania. I don't necessarily look at that as a terribly exciting semifinal match as compared to what we could get, let's say, with Io and JC, Io and Kiana. I know Raquel's a bigger name than they are on the main roster right now, but I'd love to see one of those two at least make it into the next round before they lose. So at this point, the show really slowed down. And we got a whole string of just non-wrestling segments here for, I don't know, felt like half an hour. Maybe it wasn't, but it felt like it. We went backstage. Maxine Dupree and Alpha Academy were with Adam Pearce, and Maxine was very upset that she was left out of the Queen of the Ring. And Pearce told her, look, it's a stacked bracket this year. It's so stacked that they had to put the women's world champion in there. I guess she demanded it, right? That's how they're trying to explain it. Liv Morgan, she demanded to be in the Queen of the Ring. But it was a stacked bracket, and so look, we just didn't have room. I know you're a former Intercontinental Champion, and I'll tell you what. He said, if there's an opening, you'll be the first person that I come to. So after he left, Otis pointed out that Maxine was talking a lot lately with Austin Theory. And he reminded her again that he thought, Theory's bad news. And she basically asked them to trust her, let her handle things, and she walked off. Then we got a video about Danhausen's recent history with the New York Knicks and Stephen A. Smith, who's a big Knicks fan. And they took us through the history of him cursing and then uncursing the name. I think he cursed Be the Booker last night maybe that's why we had the night that we had. But him cursing and uncursing the Knicks. And then, of course, the Knicks went on this 11-0 run. And now they're in the NBA Finals, Game 1, coming up this Wednesday. Poor Dynamite. Poor Dynamite stream. Poor me. You can watch the Knicks game, but also have the stream on at the same time. I'm just saying. Don't forget about me. Then backstage, Kathy Kelly was interviewing Bayley and Lyra Valkyria. And Lyra interrupted the interview when she spotted Sol Ruka off camera, and the camera followed. And she rushed over to go talk to the new Intercontinental Champion. And she said that she was so happy to see Sol take the title from Becky because she was no longer able to challenge for that championship. At one point when Becky was the champion, she couldn't challenge for it. And so she was very happy that Becky didn't have the belt anymore. And since that didn't apply anymore, and since Sol went out there and talked about how she wants to be a fighting champion, she would love to throw her name in the hat. And Ruka was more than happy to give her a shot. And then Bayley walked over, and while Lyra was all excited, Bayley, she did not share in that enthusiasm. She did not look very happy about this. Uh-oh, maybe she'll start hearing the voices again. Whatever happened to that storyline? That, like many other storylines that Paul Levesque has come up with over the past, I don't know, year and a half, just inexplicably dropped. We never did find out who attacked Jey Uso, did we? I bet you don't even remember that. We never found out who attacked Jacob Fatu. We had Fatu assuming that it was Drew McIntyre, but we never did get a resolution to that fucking story. You could add this one to the pile. Whatever happened to the voices that Bayley was hearing? Maybe she went to a therapist. Maybe she used BetterHelp. Maybe she's all better now. I guess we have to use our imagination. Try to figure it out ourselves. Elsewhere in the back, the talking continued. We went to the Judgment Day clubhouse. And Roxanne Perez was venting to Raquel and Dom and JD McDonough about losing her Queen of the Ring match earlier. Liv Morgan entered and she was all excited. And Raquel was kind of like, she was kind of nudging her like, Roxanne's in a bad mood. And Morgan told Roxy, look, we're family. And that's all that matters. Okay, that's what matters most, is that we're all a family here. And Roxanne said, yeah, well, I could have used that family, but okay, what's the plan? And Liv said, well, the Judgment Day is going to win both tournaments. And she said that she and Dom are going to become the king and queen. But she noticed Raquel was not thrilled about being overlooked because she also is in the Queen of the Ring. So Liv corrected herself and said, or you. Me or you. And then she looked over at JD McDonough and said, or you. And I'm like, did I miss something here? He's not even in the tournament. I don't know. The implication was that maybe he could win, unless I completely misread this segment here. But I thought she was implying that, well, maybe you could win too. I'm like, win what? Win what? Is there another updated bracket that they posted that they pulled that I'm not aware of? He's not in the fucking tournament. I'm fairly certain that he's not going to be winning anything. The main event of this show, Seth Rollins. One-on-one with Braun Breaker. We got a pair of suicide dives early by Rollins. On the third attempt, Breaker caught him, sent him flying over the barricade. Later on, we had Braun hitting the Breakensteiner. Is he still calling it that? Is he still calling it that? RDH says, I thought she was looking at Dom. No, but that doesn't make any sense. She already said she thinks Dom's going to win. That's what I mean. Nothing else made sense there other than her looking at McDonough and saying, or you. Like, no, you're not winning anything. The Judgment Day are a bunch of simps for Liv. She's the leader. She's the leader of the faction. I mean, the Judgment Day has, and look, there were times where Rhea Ripley was clearly the leader of the Judgment Day, even if they didn't call her that. So the Judgment Day has been a very progressive faction in that regard, right? They've had various male members of the group, and Finn Balor, I guess people looked at him at one point as being the leader, but realistically, we're really being honest here. It was Rhea Ripley, and now it's Liv Morgan. And the men just sort of follow, and they do what they're told because they don't want to incur her wrath. But anyway, so yeah, he hit his Breakensteiner off the top rope, took Rollins all the way down to the canvas. There was a tremendous spot that they pulled off here outside the ring where Rollins was standing on top, I believe, of the Italian announce desk. Braun Breaker, he was standing on top of the English one. He came charging in off the one announce desk to the other for a spear. But in doing so, Rollins jumped up and caught him with a pedigree on the way down through the table. So I thought that came off great. He got Breaker back inside. He hit a proper pedigree, and still Braun kicked out. as I'm sure Triple H was sitting on headset in the back, smiling as he saw this, saying, if that pedigree came from me, he wouldn't be kicking out. See, I look at it like some people might look at this and go, man, this got to burn Triple H on the inside that his move is just a fucking setup move now. If it were me, I would look at it a little bit differently. I would go, you know what? It's kind of like Shawn Michaels using the super kick as a finish. And now everybody uses super kicks multiple times in every match and they don't mean anything. And like if I'm him, I'm looking at that going, you know what? It makes me feel good about it because mine was so good that I used to win matches and titles with it. And nobody does anymore. Like if I'm Triple H, I'm like, yeah, my pedigree is the best pedigree because I'm the one who actually won 14 world titles with it. You can't win shit. You literally, this guy did a pedigree through the announce desk and then followed it with another pedigree and still couldn't win the match. It's pretty sad. I'm just saying. Austin Theory ran out, speaking of sad. Rollins, though, knocked him down off the apron. Now, he set up for a stomp to Braun Breaker. Theory, though, whacked him with one of the tag team title belts, which the referee did not see because the referee had the... Hey, Frankie, welcome to the channel. The referee was being distracted by Paul Heyman at the time. So that brought out Montez Ford, who got into the ring and he did his running flip dive out over the ring post, which is like a weekly occurrence now. And he took out Theory with it, only then to turn around into a spear from Braun Breaker. So down goes Montez Ford. Breaker gets back in the ring and he spears Rollins and gets a close near fall out of it. Rollins came back, though, with a stomp to Breaker, had the match won when Heyman tried to place Braun Breaker's foot on the bottom rope. And we are coming off of a show. I'm going to get in my soapbox here, okay, for about 30 seconds, if you don't mind. We just got done watching a PLE yesterday, okay, 24 hours ago, in which we had, at least to my memory, 3 different rope spots just in the opening, I think, 2 matches of the show, right? We had the spot with Gunther and Cody and his foot under the rope in the opening match. And then we had a spot just like this twice in the women's title match between Jade Cargill and Rhea Ripley. And now we're doing another rope spot here. Why do we do this? Why, when they have they do some sort of spot and then they say that, well, we got to do it again and we got to do it again and we'll do it in multiple matches. We'll do it in back-to-back matches. We'll do it back-to-back nights. Can we put a moratorium now on rope spots? Why do we have to cluster them all up together like this? We had this 3 fucking times on the show yesterday. Now we have another one here. Now, it's bad enough that B-Fab, unfortunately for her, she fucked up the spot during the Rhea and Jade match yesterday. And so, look, if you're going to call her out for it, you got to call Paul Heyman out for it. This one wasn't as egregious. He got the foot on the rope, technically, touching the rope, but it was touching underneath the rope. But he clearly intended to put the foot on the rope. And I'm like, I can't believe we're doing this. We're doing this fucking foot on the rope shit again. Did we not just sit through this yesterday? And again, he couldn't even get it on the fucking rope. Thankfully, Braun was close enough where he just put his foot up and got it underneath the rope at least. But can we not keep doing this, please? Oh, man, that B-Fab one yesterday was pretty bad, though, I got to say. That was pretty bad. So Rollins rolled outside, and he's staring a hole through Heyman. He begins stalking Paul Heyman. And Heyman's yelling back at him, and all the while they're sort of inching towards the timekeeper's barricade. And here comes Braun Breaker for the spear, right? He comes charging in. Rollins, though, moves out of the way, and Heyman took the spear instead. And they go crashing through the barricade. Meanwhile, Rollins, he grabs Breaker's tag team title belt, unbeknownst to him. So when Breaker gets back into the ring, he went to go spear Rollins. He didn't know that Rollins was holding the title around his waist. He was holding it right in perfect position. So when Braun came charging in, he hit the spear and he knocked himself out. He knocked himself silly. And Rollins quickly got rid of the evidence and disposed of the tag team. He should dispose of those belts in the fucking trash can where they belong. But he dumped the belt outside the ring. So they did the Bret Hart Goldberg spot from WCW. They didn't. Bret and Goldberg did it better, of course. But yes, they did an offshoot of it here. And then Rollins got up and he stomped him and he pinned him to win the match. 22 minutes into this bout, as Rollins flashed forward outside a nod of respect for the assist. It's turned into a hell of a match here. I will say, better than I was expecting it to be. This was better than the Clash in Italy main event. I'm not even exaggerating when I say that. I think this was a better match than the one that we got with Roman and Jacob at Clash in Italy. It definitely had a more exciting final stretch than Tribal Combat had. I don't even think this is much of a hot take. I just think this was the better match. I think Tribal Combat went 27 minutes. This went 22. Frankly, 27 minutes was too long for Tribal Combat. I'll take this match over that one. But that is now one win for Rollins and one win for Breakers. So they could still very well meet. And I still think that this is the likeliest scenario, is that these two are going to meet in the finals of the King of the Ring. If they do, though, I mean, I think it's going to be tough for them to top what they did here in this match, because this was very good. But also what they did here should be writing Paul Heyman off for a while. I don't know for how long. I mean, the guy got speared through the fucking barricade. You know, he was just like, he looked like a fucking dead whale laying there on the floor. So he's got to be gone for a little bit. I'm going to bang my head against the wall if he eventually comes back begging Roman Reigns to let him back into the bloodline. And this was all just to get Heyman back with Roman and back for Bloodline 2.0. Oh my God. Can you imagine? Begging Roman to take him back just so they could run it back for old time's sake. You know, given the state of the vision right now, I could understand it if Heyman wanted to flee and go back to the bloodline. Look, the crowd helped this show out a lot. These Italian crowds have been great. They'll be great again on Friday, I'm sure. They got one more show. I think they're in Bologna on Friday, which will be another early show for those of you that have VPNs. And so we'll have another probably 8 p.m. stream on Friday, just FYI. But we did get some really good in-ring stuff. Again, the main event I thought was very good. And the men's King of the Ring match was a lot of fun. So I enjoyed those two things. The tag match that they had with Ray and Dragon Lee, I mean, that was fine. Wasn't anything special, but I mean, it was fine. Beyond that, there really wasn't a whole lot else, honestly, to this show. It was more about setting things up for the future. You know, you had Fatu out there in the opening segment acknowledging Roman Reigns. It's like, okay, boring, but it sets up whatever is coming later on, much further down the road. Let's put it that way. Sol Ruca comes out, you know, she's the new champion. She wants to be a fighting champion. Okay, great. And that sets up, I guess, what her run is going to look like going forward. Didn't make for a very exciting television segment, but okay. And they needed Oba to come out and just kill a bunch of guys after taking his first loss. And he put Brock Lesnar on notice. They will meet again. I think we all kind of figured it, but that basically confirms it. On the whole, it was a good show, but it was helped out greatly by a hot Italian crowd. That was the story of Monday Night Raw. Now, I will also point out to you as an FYI, just so you know, Raw next week is going to be in Paris, France, and they are going to be at the Accor Arena. It will be another 2 p.m. Eastern start time on Netflix. So that's next Monday. The following Monday, which is June 15th, they're in Baltimore, which is, you're wondering, what European country is that in? It's not. They're coming back to the United States. They have Raw in Baltimore on 15th, I believe it is. And then the following Monday, June 22nd, they're going to be the O2 Arena in London. So they jet back to Europe. I don't quite understand this detour. I laughed at it when I saw the schedule all those weeks ago, and I still had a nice little chuckle at it when I saw it. So 2 p.m. Eastern next week, then it's back to its normal time, and then I guess it would be 3 weeks from now when they're in London. That's going to be I want to say 3 p.m. Eastern start time on Netflix. And then once we get to the end of the month, they're in Riyadh for Night of Champions. And I want to say the tour is over. I could be wrong. I want to say the tour is over. At least in terms of these special start times for Raw. I think it's over at that point, but I'm not 100% sure about that. They had a visa issue, yeah. They had to jet back to the US real quick for 1 week, so they went to Baltimore, but then their visa will be okay, and then they'll jet right back out. It's just one of those things where you look at the schedule and you see Turin, right? And you see Paris, and you see London, and then right in the fucking middle is Baltimore. I'm like, it's a little odd. Let's take a look at your super chats. It's a hell of a travel schedule, I'll say that much. I don't envy them. I know it used to be worse. I mean, my God, these European tours used to be even worse, but that's still a hellacious travel schedule. At a time when I honestly, and I don't travel nearly as much as they do or fly, but I don't know. It just feels like air travel to me has never been worse than it is now. And it's not like they're all flying on the private jet. Sure, that would make things a little bit easier. Chat GPT put the schedule together. All right, let's get to your messages here. Hey Joseph, I'm gonna try to do a speed round because there's so many of them. I'm gonna try to zip through your super chats here, brother. I appreciate it. Says happy Monday, Solomonster. Liv Dom, he says, for men's and women's king and queen of the ring. I knew you were gonna say that. He's a big fan of Liv Dom. Yeah, we don't need Liv Dom for men's and women's king and queen of the ring. That's a no from me. Says, I just finished all 6 seasons of The Sopranos. It's the greatest TV show of all time. I agree. It is. It's an experience. It's one of those shows where I wish I could just sort of erase it from my brain and watch it over again for the first time. That and the ending to the first Saw movie. I just wish I could blank out that part of my brain and just watch it as if I was watching it for the first time. What are your thoughts and theories in the final moments of that final Sopranos episode? Oh, he dies. Sorry, spoiler. I've learned to appreciate the finale more as the years have gone on. I was every bit as frustrated, though, as most people were at the end. The Sopranos video game on PS2 is not a good game. Well, good, then I won't play it. Morgan Freeman, really? Is he 89? God bless him. He looks good for 89. Do you think the 90s was the era of mob movies? Yeah, I would say so. Fucking Goodfellas and Casino. In the same decade, I would say yes. Yes, I did know that about Uncle June. Did you see James Gunn's post showing the first look of Nicholas Hoult as Lex Luthor in the Superman sequel? I did not, but I did see the trailer drop today for The End of Oak Street, which is my next. Now that the Backrooms has been seen, that is the next movie that is number 1 on my list of movies I am most excited to see this year. It's coming out in August. Looks great. And yes, Joseph, I am aware that is coming out on Friday. I will not be seeing it this week, but hopefully I'll have a chance to. He's also listening to the Batman Forever soundtrack, one of his favorite soundtracks. I don't even know what's on that soundtrack. Is Martin Scorsese one of your favorite directors? Yes. Buy or sell, Scorsese or Steven Spielberg? Ooh, that's a tough one. You know, this Disclosure Day movie is coming out in a few weeks. June 12th. I'm going to see that as well. And some of the early reviews are that it's Spielberg's best work in 20 years. So I'm excited to see it. Oh man, if I had to choose between them though, I mean, you're talking Jaws, you're talking E.T., you're talking a lot of classics. Spielberg was Back to the Future, wasn't he? Right, him and Zemeckis. I mean, I probably would have to go Spielberg. Jurassic Park. I mean, there's so many. Oh, okay. Kiss from a Rose is on that soundtrack. Right, Seal. Have you seen the new show Spider Noir with Nicolas Cage? No. Favorite Val Kilmer Batman moment? I don't have one. He's not my favorite Batman. Buy or sell, Jack Nicholson is the Joker or Willem Dafoe is the Green Goblin? Jack Nicholson. Thank you, Joseph. See, I told you it was going to be a lightning round. Death Scythe. After last night's Be the Booker, I'm surprised Eric Bischoff did not storm into your room and say, "What the hell was that?" Followed by James Cromwell storming into your room and saying, "What in the blue fuck was that?" I mean, I certainly wouldn't want either one of those individuals to be storming into my home. That's why I have locks on the doors. We got Walker Stubbs. Saw Obsession this past weekend. 10 out of 10. Would recommend. Give Indy Navarrete all the Oscars. She's very cool. He's still watching, waiting, says Clay V Man. Who are we talking about? Misfit Wrestling Podcast with a couple of super chats. Last night's Be the Booker was on par with the night Solo took on Great Khali in Punjabi prison. Speaking of things that I've tried to block out of my mind. After this week, Julia needs to be traded to Raw. I'm sorry to say, like, at this point, it doesn't matter. Julia is cooked. Julia in WWE is cooked. They're not going to do anything with her. It's over. It's over. Unfortunately, she will never rise to the level that people were hoping or expecting her, even from where she was in NXT. It's not going to happen. Prince Vegeta 95. At what point now do you see Braun Breaker winning a world title? Probably not anytime within the next 12 months, since Roman's got it on lock and Oba is clearly next in line. Yeah, you're probably right. I don't see it happening anytime in the near future. It will happen. I think there's a better chance of him maybe ending up on SmackDown at some point and taking it from Cody than taking it from Roman. But even if that happens, that's a 2027 thing, I think, at the earliest. Also, Misfit Wrestling Podcast. Finn Balor being on the same brand as Tama Tonga does intrigue me due to the Bullet Club ties. I mean, and it's still not enough to get me excited for anything they may do in terms of like some sort of Bullet Club tie-in, or like we see Shinsuke Nakamura sharing the screen with Tama Tonga. They sort of reference their history in Japan, and it's like, how many segments have they been doing? I would love to go back and try to remember what that first segment was. Like, when did that first segment air where Nakamura confronted Tama Tonga in the back? Like, how many months ago was that? And it's still, it's led nowhere so far. It's led absolutely nowhere. It's not even that interesting of a story. Like, if it was like a big story, it's like, okay, you want to really drag it out for a while. They're dragging something out that like nobody gives a shit about. Oh, Gangrel. Oh my goodness, I forgot that's right. Yes, Gangrel. We saw him a couple of times last night, didn't we? Buy or sell, says Philip Bowman. Jason X versus Malignant. Are you going to hate me if I say Jason X? Because I'm going to say Jason X. Death Scythe, I was thinking, what if we get Rhea, Alexa, Charlotte in a triple threat at SummerSlam? Uh-oh, you cited Alexa's name in a potential title match. Bliss fan. This is the Bliss fan alarm. Alerting Bliss fan. His antennas have gone up. You've mentioned Alexa Bliss and title match in the same sentence. I'm surprised he's not already in the chat chiming in. Death Scythe says, it can be the women's version of Undertaker defending against Jericho and Cena defending against DX at Survivor Series. I would prefer it be one-on-one. That would be my preference. Alexander says Jacob's new name should be Jacob Loa. Come on now. The man is already at his low point. Let's not shovel dirt on top of him, okay? Now I just feel bad for the guy. Death Scythe says, if we are getting Cody and Roman 3, fuck knows why. And if it's for a top title, they should have someone cash in Money in the Bank before, during, or after the match. I mean, they're sure teasing it, but I'm still not convinced we're actually getting it, because I don't think... I think coming up with a finish on who would go over, I think there's a political football there that I don't know that we're going to see. I know they're teasing it, but I don't know that we're going to actually get it. Barry MK says, I feel bad for Bayley. Her own partner walked away from her during a backstage interview, to talk to somebody else. Imagine if that happened to you for real. I would be pissed. Well, yeah, especially if I knew I was on live television. That would piss me off. You know what I would do, though? I would take a tire iron to my partner's kneecap. But that's just me. The Uffman. Buy or sell Lesnar math or Steiner math? Steiner math, for sure. Also, Lesnar costing Oba in the King of the Ring does not make any sense whatsoever, which means Lesnar will cost Oba. Oh, absolutely. In no scenario, like if it happens, under no circumstance does it make sense. That's why I'm convinced they're going to do it. Given the outcome last night, in no scenario would that make sense. Death Scythe says, the more I think about it, wouldn't it make more sense if Oba wins King of the Ring, then he goes on to win the world title from Roman at SummerSlam, and then Brock challenges Oba for the world title? Are you actually advocating for this idea? Because I don't like that idea. And they do that match when? On some random September or October pay-per-view? It doesn't really make a whole lot of sense to me. Alexander, $4.99, says, I know it's extra early, but I'm curious how a heel Sol Ruka would work. Does she come out dressed as Shang Tsung from Mortal Kombat? You're already turning Sol Ruka heel? Boy, these fans, man. They don't give you a chance. Put it this way, it is far too early for me to envision a heel Sol Ruka on the main roster. It would not work. She has to be a little more established. Even then, I'm not sure if it would work. But to do it anytime soon would be a terrible idea. Nick Rosso with a 1999. Nick, thank you. Instead of Rollins winning King of the Ring, maybe Breaker beats him and goes to SummerSlam to face Roman. Also, well, I think I kind of mentioned that the other night. Also, I like JD's idea for the women. Io wins Queen of the Ring, faces Liv, Blake and Rhea, and Jade and Charlotte. Well, Jade and Charlotte is something, I mean, I've been talking about that nonstop, and now we're getting it. A version of it. We're getting it in this fucking tournament. We're actually getting it before we ever get the singles match, which I think is stupid. I'm telling you, man, you got to look at, people are sleeping on JC Jane. I'm not saying she's going to win, but I hope I at least see her make it out of the first round. I feel like, I don't know, to bounce her in the first round, I don't know that that's something I would do. Then you got fucking Jordan Grace, who's dropped off the face of the fucking earth. She couldn't even get a spot in this tournament. No, we needed a spot for the women's world champion in this tournament. This other woman couldn't even get a spot, the Queen of the Ring. It's ridiculous. Alex with a 10 says, Brother Solo, fun fact, Seth and the Street Profits teamed up to take on Imperium on the 30th anniversary of Raw, January of 2023. So there is some minor history there between Seth and the Profits. Yeah, I mean, but you're going back in the time machine there for like a one-off. So I don't really see that applying to what we're seeing play out now with them. Arabian Night, I said 2 weeks ago, Ilya and an in-ring focus star, or you mean as an in-ring focus star, won't get many opportunities in WWE. Him not in King of the Ring is a disgrace. He's MIA for 3 or 4 months, would be a better fit in AEW. And imagine Ilya in there with like Claudio in AEW. I mean, the opponents that he would have there is just this unlimited supply of great fucking, oh my God, him and Takeshita? Fuck. Yeah, now I kind of want to see him in AEW now. Well, he's the one on the men's side. Jordan Grace not being in there on the women's side is ridiculous. And then him not being, you know, in any of these, in their fucking 4-ways that they're doing. I mean, you have so many bodies in this tournament, you couldn't carve out a spot for him in any of these matches. It's preposterous. The entire thing is ridiculous. Ragnarok. You know what, brother? Fuck it. Go ahead and put Sami Zayn back in the bloodline. Let's just go all in. Happy Monday, brother, and drinks up. Happy Monday. Happy Monday, and also happy bonus goal. We just unlocked the bonus goal. And I don't know that we're going to hit the regular goal. So the 1B the Booker that you get may be because of the bonus goal, because the goal tonight was 700 likes. We're still only at 540, so you're doing things a little backwards here. The Uffman says the rope spot is the new suicide dive. Feels like it. Libido Bell, besides Earth, what is your favorite planet? Jupiter. I just think it has a cool name. Misfit Wrestling Podcast says, hear me out. If its winners get to choose their title match at SummerSlam and Io wins, then there is the other match for her. There is other match for her than Rhea. I think you fucked up your super chat. What he is saying is that there's no better match for her than Rhea Ripley. I don't think they've ever said that, though. I don't think they've ever said that. I mean, they could do whatever they want, but I don't think they've ever actually articulated that the winner, it's like Money in the Bank, where they could just pick the champion, or the Rumble or whatever, where they could just pick the champion of their choice. I don't think that's the way it works. But see, that would actually be a great idea. That's how you get to Rhea and Io. Problem is, Rhea's already lost a bunch of times to Io, so they would probably want to give her the win. So then Io gets beat, and it's like, then what? Clay V Man says Gangrel is still watching. Toya says R.I.P. Paul Heyman. Yes, after the barricade spot tonight. HBKC83 with a 5. What review was it that had Hulk Hogan, Andre the Giant, and Bruno Sammartino and Be the Booker? I recall that one going off the rails also. You're asking me to identify the exact episode? I have no fucking idea. There's been so much craziness on there. I don't keep track of that. I have no clue. Maybe somebody in the chat knows, though. I have no idea. Abyssal Zone says, if I was judging based on just the last 24 hours, I would think WWE had soured on Fatu in the main event. He doesn't seem like the threat that he once was. No, because he's not. Because he got beat twice. He couldn't back up all the talk, all the tough talk. You know, he talked up a big fight and he lost both times. You know, he definitely lost something. But again, I think with them, it might be the idea of, well, let's break them down to build them up. Well, good luck with that. I hope so. I hope it works out. Brody says, going through my movie collection and looking for stuff to sell. Still can't decide to sell my Sopranos DVD set. Need some advice from a fellow fan. I wouldn't sell it. But it's not my set. Only you can make that choice. Only you can prevent forest fires, and only you can make that decision. But if it were me, I would not be selling it. Aaron Loves Wrestling podcast. Hey, Aaron, what's going on? Thank you for the $9.99. Bloodline and Bloodline 2.0 MFTs are like NWO Hollywood and NWO Wolfpack. The Bloodline storyline needs to end, and we need new main event stars to be pushed and new world champions in WWE. WWE is WCW 2.0. Well, with one very big exception, which is that unlike WCW, WWE actually makes money. So they could afford to keep doing the same shit over and over again because they have plenty of people out there who just lap up all the slop and they can just keep making money. WCW did not have that luxury. They were in the red. They kept losing money. And they had hardly any new stars that they actually created. Very few of them. Chased a lot of them away to the other company. And then they killed the NWO dead, and they didn't have any other good ideas. And so you couple that with people in management who didn't want to see them around anymore, and the writing was on the wall. But that's the big difference. WWE makes money, WCW did not. That's why they're dead. That's why they're not here anymore. B-Man the Champ kind of looks to me like LA Knight is going heel. Good. Good. He probably should be a heel. He's clearly not going anywhere as a babyface. So if there is a brand that could really use a heel, like a solid upper mid-card heel right now, I think he would fill that void great. Andre Jefferson, hey Solo, I think it's possible that Drew ends up on Raw when he comes back. Maybe that's the trade. Balor for McIntyre? Boots. Boots helped us get to the goal. Boots with the 10 spot. Thank you, Boots. Putting boots to asses now and forever. And then we have our boy Bread Hart is with us. Let me refresh this list here. He says, there's nothing to the Jessica and Becky feud. It's just their Triple H and Hebner-like routine. WWE taught me to always expect the lamest result from them. Well, you're probably right about that, but it's been going on long enough now where there has to be some sort of payoff or just fucking stop. Just fucking stop. Like, this is annoying at this point. If it's not leading to anything, then just stop. It's just stupid. Misfit Wrestling Podcast. MFTs is the Wolfpack if the Wolfpack was led by Disco Inferno. I mean, that's kind of an insult to the MFTs. And Sidra with a 5. Why do women prefer rocks to minerals? Because typically, mineral the same. Mineral the same. And found $20 in parking lot and thought, what would Jesus do? So I turned it into wine. A wise choice, although I'm not really a wine guy. I'm more of a spirits person. The Joker's voice with a $5 super chat. Thank you, Sidro, by the way. Io wins Queen of the Ring, wins at SummerSlam against Liv, sets up Crown Jewel. Champion versus champion against Rhea. Rhea can get a win with neither of their titles being on the line. See, I like the way you think. That works. That works. Oh, BlissFed is here. A little late to the party. A little late to the party there. ASU Amy says Cole buried Fatu again. He called him a chastised dog or something like that. Heyman looked like a sack of potatoes after that bump. Yeah, Michael Cole has really just been, or they've had Michael Cole burying him on commentary by saying he was, well, last night he said that he was neutered. And what was the other word that he used? He was neutered and, oh, God, what was the other word that he used? Domesticated. He was a neutered and domesticated werewolf. And I didn't even pick up on the comment he made tonight. What do you call him? A chastised dog? Why don't they just stick a sign on his back that says, "Kick me"? Aaron loves wrestling. Big fan of the podcast, brother. Which wrestler on the WWE roster would you put the world title and WWE title on? Well, the person I would have put the World Heavyweight Championship on lost 2 in a row. So much for that. Now, I guess you just sort of take your time to build to Oba at some point. At some point down the road. I mean, as far as the WWE Championship, right now, the WWE title, who do we have in that top scene on SmackDown? They had the chance to do, Orton number 15 and all that at WrestleMania, and obviously they fucked that whole thing up. So I've kind of lost, that's lost a lot of steam with me, the whole Randy and Cody thing. Like, I don't even care at this point. I'd rather it be somebody else. I don't know. I don't know who the ideal person would be right now, honestly. On SmackDown, they just moved Balor over. They do Cody and Punk. I mean, that's one of the few matches that really kind of has me excited. I know Punk is hardly like a new face. Cody and Punk is still a match that I would like to see them build to. I mean, it doesn't seem very likely for SummerSlam right now. I might say Punk and then let Punk work with a bunch of new people on SmackDown. That might be fresh. And then Punk can drop it to somebody else, somebody newer at some point down the road. Clay V Man, my bartender is my spirits guide. That's the right person. Always trust what your bartender says and tip your bartender. Sidra, why couldn't the lifeguard save the hippie? Oh my God. He was too far out, man. Did you hear about the person who died by Viagra? What a hard way to go. I think that might be one of the better ways to go, honestly. And Doniyasu. Honestly, it's another period of time where I don't bother checking out the product. Almost a year. But I always tune in for the sound off. See, that's the right move right there. See, Donnie has the right idea. Or better yet, Jacob should put the Tongan death grip on Michael Cole. It will never not amuse me, though, that they put this move over so hard. They even had the announcers do an on-camera one week on Raw where they put the camera on them and Michael Cole was like educating us about how lethal the move is, and Corey Graves is trying to talk to us about how deadly the move is. And they gave this guy this new move, and he just lost 2 straight PLE main events with it. Or not with it, but He couldn't win. He still has yet to win a match with this dreaded Tongan death grip. I don't give a shit how hard you put that over on commentary. You could put video packages together. You can have him, like, you could do all that stuff. It comes down to wins and losses. This is why I say wins and losses for the people who say, oh, they don't matter anymore. I'm not saying they're the end-all, be-all, but yes, they matter. They still matter. They will always matter. They will always matter. Put this move over as strong as you want to. If he's not going out there and winning with it, then the move doesn't mean anything. It's just a move. Cameron Spencer, Seth should feud with Punk next for the right to face Cody for the title. Are you down for that? Going back to Seth and Punk? No, not really. Been there, done that. I really don't have any appetite to go back to that again. Cody and Punk, absolutely. Seth and Punk, doesn't do anything for me. All right, well, we hit the bonus goal. We hit 602, which is actually pretty good. Pretty good. It's not 700 though. We fell 100 short. But because we hit the bonus goal, we are still going to get the one round to be the bookers. So you found a way to get there. So let's do it.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is now time to be the booker.
Although I am a little worried after what happened last night about what this is going to look like. I don't know what to expect. I'm a little scared. You were not with us last night. Boy, did you miss one. Boy, did you miss one. All right, here we go. Tag team, be the booker. Wyatt 6 intensifies. Well, you'll be happy to know that when we have a super chat goal, so in this case, this round is coming from the goal, it is immune to the Wyatt 6 or any of the other poison pills that may be on here. So we are going to get a guaranteed full round of Be the Booker no matter what. And we are beginning with the former tag team champions. We have the Yeet Man, Jey Uso, and Cody Rhodes. If you remember, they were tag team champions at one point. And now they're back. More bloodline. We can't get away from it. Cody and Jay. I know that's many of you, your favorite tag team. They're going to be stepping into the... Oh, my God. After we just talked about it, look who it is. It is Meng. It's Meng and the Barbarian. Meng, the master of the Tongan death grip. Now, if you want a Tongan death grip that is applied properly, this is the man you go to right here. But this is very interesting now because you've got Meng on one side and you've got Jey Uso on the other. So I sense that there may be a turn here. I think that in the middle of this match, they may turn on Cody. And Cody's going to get screwed over here. That is pretty crazy, though, after just spending an entire minute venting about the Tongan death grip. Fucking Haku pops up on my screen. I'm telling you, man, this thing is like, it's like Siri. I don't know how, but it knows, it hears things. All right, women's Be the Booker. We have Camille, the former NWA women's champion. She had a very long run, I think over 500 days, as the NWA women's champion. Is that Caprice Coleman? I think it is. Oh, that's Ring of Honor. So wait, what belt is that? That has to be her NWA belt that she brought to Ring of Honor. This image confuses me. Well, enjoy Camille, because even though she just made her return recently to AEW television, she's already vanished again. So there's no telling when you're going to see her next time. So wave goodbye to Camille as we pick her opponent. choose 4 women and book a tag team match. Okay. Well, then I guess that's what we have to do. Should we start over? Oh, well, yeah, we'll start over. We'll start over. Forget Camille. We got to pick 4 women. So that's what we're going to do. This just turned into a tag team match, Playa. Team number 1. We have Nikita Lyons. Well, I know many of you are very happy when we land on Nikita Lyons here. I don't know who that is that she landed on in this image. You know, there was a report recently, just this week, in fact, about Nikita Lyons saying that there were people within WWE who are very impressed with the progress that she's made. And there was talk about potentially even calling her up to Monday Night Raw. And they decided against it. But apparently there are people within the company who are very happy with her progress. I haven't seen too much of her. I think she's been in Evolve. I don't, is she back in NXT? I don't even know. They actually sent her down. They demoted her to Evolve. But if she's actually making progress, then great. Great. Nikita Lyons is going to be teaming with Athena. Athena and Nikita. And they are going to be... What is with these names? What is with these names in the chat? Yam Bigelow? She is on NXT now. Okay. They're going to be taking on... Oh, wow. I forgot that she was in here. Alicia Fox. I think she's going by her real name, though, in TNA, right? Victoria Crawford. Yeah, I don't know about this match. I like Athena, but... And I like Willow. Willow Nightingale. I like Willow and I like Athena, but yeah, I can't give this a bell. I don't like this match. This match is a no for me. So we are 1 for 1, or as Brock Lesnar would say, we are 1+1 here in Be the Booker. So it comes down to our main event. Oh, she's splitting her time between Evolve and NXT. I thought she was just still exclusively in Evolve. So yeah, no clean sweep tonight. Unless you can come up with 80 or so likes in the next 2 minutes here. Here we go. We got, oh, look at this guy. Look at this fucking character that just popped up on my screen here. It is JD from NY 206. Stealing valuable ring time from people who deserve it by taking their spot in the main event, politicking his way into the main event. Into my main event here in Be the Booker. We're supposed to be selling tickets here. We're supposed to be moving tickets. How is this going to sell tickets? It depends on who his opponent is, really. I mean, that's really what it boils down to here. I don't know. Who's it going to be? It's going to be... Wow. Wow, what a main event. Holy shit. JD from New York against Bruno Sammartino. So at least you know that you're getting 2 New York icons here in your main event. Bruno sold out more shows at Madison Square Garden than anybody else. But now he has to compete with JD. The only problem is JD can yell and scream all he wants at Bruno, but he can't take Bruno down. This is going to be, this is going to be a massacre is what this is going to be. JD against Bruno Sammartino. Well, look, if you're going to do it, if you're going to get in the ring, you may as well get in the ring with the best. Yes, that's right. At least he gets fucked up by a legend. Can you imagine if I landed on like fucking Austin Theory or something? anybody's going to fuck me up, I'd rather it be Bruno Sammartino. Believe me, there were some other potentially very embarrassing options that we could have landed on as his opponent here. A lot of people actually in Be the Booker who I'm sure would have loved to have stepped into the ring with JD. I think Dax is in here somewhere. Actually, Dax is not in here, but... Oh, man. Well, that was an interesting conclusion to Be the Booker. That was unexpected. Or New Jack. I don't know. I don't think New Jack is in there. I don't know. Actually, maybe he is. I think New Jack may be in there. Oh man, can you imagine JD against New Jack? Oh, we have Dried Chicken says women's tag team match, Camille as the special guest referee. Well, that might be the best she could hope for these days. Where's the Wyatt Six when you really need them? Yeah, we could have used the Wyatt Six massacre there. Of course, when we need them, they're not there. Toya 8 Nice with a 10 spot. Says, Roman told Jay to go after the other title. I thought if he wins King of the Ring, he would challenge the champion on his brand. I'm confused. Did they change the... Oh, that's right. Well, maybe they did change the rules. Either that or Roman doesn't know the rules. I guess based on what Roman said in that promo, they didn't explicitly say it, but if you listen to what Roman said, then I guess in theory you could choose the champion of your choice. But it's the bloodline. So like they can bend the rules and do whatever they want. I don't know what the answer is. This is the state of WWE right now. They don't even know what they're doing. They put incorrect fucking King of the Ring brackets on their own website earlier. You think they know what they're doing from 1 hour to the next? Cameron says the reason I want Jax to attack Lash is so she goes solo and joins the MFTs. Are you down for that? So Nia joins the MFT? Again, you're asking me if I care about something that I don't care about. Like, adding Nia Jax to the MFTs is not suddenly going to make me care about the MFTs. I'm not opposed to like the Bloodline or some of these groups having like a female member, but like, is it going to get me to care about the MFTs? No. You could tell me that if I suddenly took an interest in and started liking the MFTs, that it would bring world peace, and I still wouldn't give a shit. Like, let it burn. Dry Chicken says, JD from NY versus Bruno. Edge and Christian doing commentary with Solomonster. And Navy 4181, why didn't Undertaker want the funeral parlor? He couldn't handle the mortgage. All right, well, if I do this to Sidro, then I have to do this to you. You suck. I'm sorry. Well, we ended up making it to 650 likes, which is very admirable, but unfortunately, it falls short of the 700. So we only had the one round of Be the Booker tonight. We will, however, have a chance to bring it back on Wednesday. I know there's a certain big game going on Wednesday night that may take some of you away, but still tune in if you can. I will be live after Dynamite on Wednesday. Tell me it's not another 3-hour show this week. I don't even know anymore. From 1 week to the next, if they add the fucking hour of Collision to the end, not that it matters. I'm not going to watch it, but good Lord. I do know that MJF, though, is defending his AEW World Championship against Roosh. So we do have that coming up, and we have Alex Windsor is going to be wrestling a wild card in the Owen Hart tournament. So those are among the matches on Dynamite this week. Bret Hart says, add the legendary Yoshihiko to Be the Booker. I don't know. I feel like I did. Or if I didn't, I may have Yoshihiko on a list. I have so many updates to it that I still haven't just had the time to make. Yoshihiko, if Yoshihiko is not in Be the Booker, Yoshihiko will end up in Be the Booker. But where does Yoshihiko go? Women's Be the Booker, right? I don't know. I would think, right? Yoshihiko would be in Women's Be the Booker. Would Yoshihiko get offended if I put... I don't even know. I always thought Yoshihiko was a woman, but now I'm not so sure. Anyway, thank you guys for all the fun tonight, hanging out with me a little bit earlier than usual. But I think we had a good stream here. Good weekend. And a good way to close out the month of May. Now it is the beginning of June. And hopefully we will have a strong month. Again, tomorrow, brand new episode of the Uncrowned Wrestling Show. I will be talking about the Mask versus Mask match, which I have not had the chance to talk about yet from the AAA show. And a bunch of other things as well. I didn't even get into the Ric Flair tweets about his son and a bunch of other stuff. We'll talk about all of that on Uncrowned tomorrow. And I'm sure some of that anyway on Tuesday Night Titans. We'll have a lot to dive into there with JD if he survives his main event match with Bruno. And then we have Dynamite Wednesday, and then we have SmackDown post-show on Friday. Probably going to go live around 8 p.m. Eastern for that again. So just be aware of that a little bit earlier than usual. That's all I got. So be well, stay safe, have yourselves a great rest of your night. It's early. Look at this. I got you out of here early. And I will see you back here for more Sound Off real soon and Uncrowned tomorrow. Until then, take care, guys.